Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our virtual classroom. Today, we're going to be going over lesson 31-1, which is about bank accounts. Bank accounts. And so my whole goal today, my whole goal in this lesson is let me go ahead and share my screen. My whole goal in this lesson is that you understand the basics of what a bank is and how you can use a bank to store and take care of your money, and what are the different ways that you can access your money in a bank account. So in a bank account, ladies and gentlemen, you have two main accounts. Please remember that. You have two main accounts in a bank account. And what does that even mean? Why do we even use banks for? Well, instead of storing your money in, let's say, a mattress, at home, like just put it under the pillow or in some kind of closet or even in a safe at your house, where if somebody were to come in and steal that money, or if there was a natural disaster, or you just forget about it, that money is gone. Instead, you can put that money, if you will, into a financial institution like a bank or a credit union, and they basically just they keep track of how much money you have. So they don't actually hold on to the physical money, but they know, hey, this person has this much money. Hey, this person has this much money. And as you work or as you make money and you put money into the bank, they keep track of that money so that when you need money, you can go to the bank and say, hey, I know that I have this much money to my credit, or you can just pull that money out. All right. And so we're going to be talking about terms that we're going to be using when that happens. But yes, think of a bank of a much safer place where you can store your money and you can take that money out whenever you need it or put more money in. And so at the very least, it is a much safer place for your money. There's other reasons why you use banks, but that's the main reason. Regardless, as we are talking about a bank in finances and there's a few terms that you need to be familiar with. Again, going in talking about a bank, there's two different types of accounts that you can have. Number one is your checking account, and number two is your savings account. Okay. Now, while these two are in the bank, they have different purposes. Okay, it's a way for you to organize your money. Let's begin with the main account. Your main account is your checking account. Your main account is your checking account. Okay, that is the account that think of that as a piggy bank. Okay, you want it to be readily available whenever you put money in there. You want to pay bills. You want to use that money to go out. You want to buy I don't know, daily purchases, food, things like that. That's what a checking account is for. That is the easiest account to access. Again, think of that as your main account. And a checking account may or may not acquire interest. Okay, so it may acquire it, it may not acquire interest. What does that mean? That means that the bank, sometimes because you choose to have your money inside of their institution, because you choose to use a certain bank, think of banks like, I don't know, Westar Bank or Wells Fargo or Chase, or I don't know, Navy Federal Credit Union, whatever you end up using. Because you choose them over another account, over another bank, they may, over time, the more money you have in there, that money they may increase that money. It's almost like they're paying you for having your money in their bank. Now, in your checking account, because that's going to be an account that you're going to be constantly increasing and decreasing in value, you're going to be constantly adding and subtracting money from that account. They may give you interest, or they may not. It is possible. But what you do need to pay attention to is your savings account. In that within an institution, you can have a separate account, all right, within that same bank. However, that account, the money inside that account, is going to be a little bit harder to get to. You might ask yourself, well, why? Why would I want it to be harder to get to that money? Well, this is, as the name implies, where you want to save money. All right, you're basically telling the bank, hey, I'm going to put this money in here, but I don't expect to be moving this money around. So that money is expected to grow over time. And typically banks will give you interest. This money will acquire interest over time, depending on the amount of money you have in the account. So the bank will definitely reward you for Number one, saving money. Number two, for choosing them as a place for you to store your money. We're not gonna talk so much about the why that happens. That's a little bit more complicated. You don't need to know about how exactly banks work. The banks don't actually hold your physical money, but you do need to understand. Number one, there's two accounts. We have our checking account and our savings account. Checking account is the main account. It may or may not acquire interest. Now, your savings account will definitely acquire interest. It's a little bit harder it's not hard, but it is a little bit harder to get to that money. But that's where you're gonna want to store your money. Maybe money that you have left over after you've paid your bills, after you've did whatever you wanted with your money. So how do we access this money? Specifically speaking, how do we access our checking account? If that's supposed to be so easy to get to, how do we get to that money? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we use our debit card. Have you ever heard of a debit card? You may have heard of a credit card, and we will talk about credit cards later in a different lesson. But for today, a debit card, ladies and gentlemen, looks a lot like a credit card. However, it functions differently because a debit card allows you to access your checking account. That is, you can think of your debit card as your key to your checking account. All right. It allows you to access those funds. How do you access those funds? Well, one way is an automatic teller machine or an ATM. If you've ever heard of an ATM, an automatic teller machine, you use your debit card, and depending on how much money you have on your account, you can take that money out. It's called withdrawing your money. Now, you can also use a debit card at a store. You swipe your card, you're automatically giving them permission to access your banking, specifically your checking account. That's what a debit card allows you to do. It's a lot like I went to an arcade recently, a more modern one. I think it was called Jump World or something. And if we wanted to play games, they gave us a card, and in that card, we had to load it up with money. All right, so we were giving him money, and as we gave him money, they would put that money into the card, and I was able to use that card on different games. That's exactly how a debit card works. As you're putting money into your checking account at the bank, think of it as you're loading up your card, and then you can use your money, your actual money, or the money that is in your name, using that debit card when you go to the store, buying things online, or at an ATM, at the automatic teller machine. All right, so hopefully that was pretty easy to understand. Let's talk about some terms that you do need to know. We have the term withdraw. Withdraw, ladies and gentlemen, means to remove or to take out money from an account. Okay, so let's say you use your debit card, it will withdraw money from your bank account. That's all of what it means. You go to the bank, you say, hey, I need $100 in cash. You're withdrawing money. You're taking out money from the bank. That's what withdrawing means. And we use that term in other things, not just in the bank. So you will hear that word from time to time, but definitely related to banking. Withdrawing means to take money out. Now, the opposite of withdrawing is to deposit. Depositing money simply means to add money to an account. The word deposit literally means to drop off. Like, I don't know, if we're having a canned food drive at the school, you might hear them say, hey, you can deposit your items, your cans at the front office. That just means to drop off. So you're literally just dropping off. You can think of deposit, the D means to drop off. You're dropping off money at the bank account. You're increasing, your money is increasing. It's getting bigger at the bank. Whereas when you're withdrawing, you're decreasing the amount of money that you have in the bank. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, you have the word transfer. And to transfer, just like the word implies, means to move money between different accounts. You can transfer money from your savings into your checking. So let's say that you're going to make a big purchase. You're finally going to buy that the new PS5, I guess, or whatever PS number we're in. And you've been saving money. You've been putting it into your savings account. And so you go to the bank, or you can do it online. You can transfer the money from your savings to your checking. And then now you can use your debit card. So ladies and gentlemen, again, I do recommend that you rewind this video if you were a little bit confused about some of these terms. And with that in mind, I will see you next time.